many women are not willing to give birth to more children, or many women are not giving birth to more children in places like Canada, United States, UK, and other developed countries. There's this thing that have been going about. Birth rate is dropping, fertility rate is dropping. Many of these figures that talks about the number of women giving birth or even willing to give birth, all the figures are dropping. Most times you see people saying, oh, we just hit a new low, right? So the question is, what exactly is happening? Is it that women no longer want to give birth to more children in these countries, or is there something deeper? Well, so from all indication and a lot of research, a lot of interviews that has been happening so far, it's like the conclusion is the same, right? The conclusion is the same. And what is that conclusion? The conclusion is that it is financial pressure that is actually making it more difficult for women to give birth. It's not because women don't want to give birth to more children. All right. So in other words, it is not about does a woman want to give birth to more children. It is about can that same woman afford to give birth to more children? You see, that's the real question. Can women afford to give birth to more children? And we are talking about including the first child, whether you're giving birth to your first child or you're giving birth to your next child, right? So can women afford to give birth? There are people who are currently delaying even having their first child because they are not financially ready. Somebody can say, oh, don't worry, you're going to figure it out. But in a lot of developed countries, that's not how things work, right? Like, if you are financially trapped, you're financially trapped. You have to put the figures together and see if it's going to work. Because if your maternity leave, let's say you have a mortgage and your maternity leave, nobody is going to give you nobody's going to give you a waiver of paying your mortgage just because your maternity leave, right? So whether you're maternity leave and you're getting half of your salary or you're not even getting anything, if you have a mortgage, you still have to get it paid. If you have a car loan, you still have to get it paid. You still have to fend for yourself and for the child that is coming. So it's not just about, oh, when we get there, we're going to figure it out. That's not how things work here, right? So the point is, many women are not giving birth to more children, not because they don't want to, but because they cannot afford to do so. And there's a recent article from BBC. One of the BBC correspondents, her name is Anne. She just released an article recently, and I read that article. I was like, wow, because that article, yes, they spoke to humans, they spoke to people, they spoke to professors, they spoke to women that have even given birth, right? And they did a lot of interviews, but eventually they still agreed with that conclusion that what is actually happening is that is financial pressure that is stopping many women from giving birth, aka is financial pressure that is responsible for the constant drop in birth rate, constant drop in fertility rates in many developed countries. All right. So one of the women they talked about, her name is Rachel May. So Rachel said that I'm telling you about lived experiences of people, right? So in that article, Rachel said that she said it took her 4.5 years of IVF treatment before she gave birth to her first child, and she was saying that it was extremely difficult for her to survive on maternity leave pay. Right? Does that sound like something maybe you have seen people go through, or maybe you yourself have gone through, right? So this woman, she was trying to give birth, perhaps 1 or 2 issues here and there, she has to undergo treatment, yet it took her 4.5 years before her baby came. And just imagine that same period, you are in and out of jobs, it's difficult, and this is her first child. Do you think, how likely is it that Rachel May is going to give birth to a second child? When? Maybe she will, right? Maybe she will. We can't say never. But when maybe it will take another 5 years to recover from the one she went through. Maybe before then she's already in her 40s, which can easily make things even more difficult. Do you see the point? So Rachel May is one of the people that the BBC article on birth rate is dropping due to financial pressure interviewed, and her experience is resounding some of the things I've been saying, that women are going through a lot. Motherhood is throwing a lot of curveballs to women, especially financially, and of course that's why you need to prepare. So they spoke to another woman, Ima, right? Ima has 2 children. One is 2 years, one is 6 years, right? And Ima was saying something like, she was saying that, can you imagine, she could not have her 2 children attend nursery at the same time. What does that mean? Like, she couldn't really put them in daycare at the same time. Somebody may be like, what do you mean? That's because a lot of time, right? Daycare for 2 children, the amount is not the same. So if you're putting 1 child on daycare versus you are putting 2 children, right, you have to pay more. So somebody who doesn't have money may not even afford to put 2 children on daycare or nursery, as the case may be. Right? So at the end of the day, how does that affect her? How it affects her is that maybe she will say, okay, one of the child should go to nursery, the other one stays with her. Remember, in countries like Canada, UK, US, you can't leave a child alone. So when they say one of the child is with you because you cannot afford to send 2 of them to daycare, like, it sounds like, oh, it's just a statement. No, let me bring the story home, right? What is actually happening there is that you are with a child. So does it mean you're going to go to work with the second child? That's when you see a woman, even though you had a very awesome career, you may end up saying, you know what, I'm just going to look for something part-time so I can stay at home with the child, because I can't afford to put 2 children in daycare. So again, I keep saying this thing, that most times when women give birth, apart from taking a financial hit during the pregnancy and early childhood phase, it also make it more difficult for women to bounce back because of the new reality you see yourself in, right? So Ima had 2 children, and this is one of the things she have to go through, not being able to put 2 of the children in nursery at the same time. There are many women like Ima everywhere who are struggling through the same thing.